What the flip is up with Facebook allowing blatant lies to be posted on Facebook? That's next on What the Flip. Hello, welcome to What the Flip. I'm your host, Vic Vogel. I apologize for my raspy voice. It is the season of allergies. I worked for and consulted with some of the largest corporations in the world. Granted, none of them were social media companies. What I know for sure is that corporations have obligations beyond keeping their shareholders happy. I also know that corporations' values and culture are set by the leader of the company. So, how those companies are perceived are often established by the company's leader and the decisions they make. If you've ever operated within a large company, you recognize that companies grow bigger than their founder, even if the person is still the CEO. Companies kind of take on their own personalities based on the need assigned by the customer. Let's take Uber as a prime example. It became so popular that the organization felt it could violate local ordinances and laws when it came to the taxi business. They got away with these violations because the people felt the service was so much better than taxis. Now, of course, this is being revisited and cities are cracking down on Uber's operating procedures. Uber is known for its mistreatment of drivers, its rapes by contracting drivers, sexual harassment within the company. These are symptoms of a leader who let power go to his head. A leader who felt he was bigger than the employees and the contract drivers responsible for the company's success and the representatives elected by the people who they serve and are responsible for the people's safety and security. This is the case also with Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. Zuckerberg is hiding behind the First Amendment to allow false advertisement consisting of lies. The First Amendment does not protect all speech. Here's some excerpts from an article on findlaw.com. Quote, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, freedom of speech doesn't necessarily mean you can say whatever you want, whenever you want. 1. In a private home. The First Amendment prohibits the government from abridging the freedom of speech, but unless an individual is acting on behalf of the government or as a government agent, she is generally free to prohibit any kind of speech she wants in her own home or any other private setting as long as she does so without breaking another law, such as physically assaulting someone. 2. In a private workplace, if you work for a private employer, you generally have no right to free speech in the workplace and can be disciplined for what you say. However, your employer may run afoul of other laws, such as discrimination laws, if you're fired for religious expression, or labor laws if you're fired for reporting violations like whistleblowing. 3. Social media. Although social media sites like Facebook might seem like an ideal public forum for posting unpopular or controversial content, as private companies, they are technically free to delete or otherwise censor any content they deem offensive. 4. School activities. Although students of public schools still have the right to First Amendment free speech, their rights may not be as extensive as the rights of adults. For example, in a 1988 Supreme Court case, The court ruled that students' free speech rights weren't violated when school administrators removed articles from a student newspaper that dealt with controversial topics. 5. Obscene speech. The First Amendment does not protect speech or expression that is considered obscene. This is why child porn is against the law. However, the exact line between obscenity and free speech is often hard to determine. For example, the filmmaker behind the controversial Two Girls and One Cup viral video was sentenced to 4 years in prison for making films that were considered obscene, despite his contention that they were art protected by the First Amendment. Unquote. I will post the link to this site in my description. For the purposes of this podcast, be clear, Facebook has the right to censor speech that is offensive. Which brings us back to the leader's role in setting values of the company and their obligation to their customers to be good corporate citizens. The fact that Mark Zuckerberg, and Twitter's CEO for that matter, hide behind the First Amendment to validate posting direct lies in political advertisements and presidential lies in tweets is an insult to everyone in this country and speaks to the overall values of Facebook and Twitter. How can this happen? This happens when a company becomes so large and powerful and its customers perceive they cannot live without the company's product. The company takes on its own personality and assumes the negative values of its CEO. Is it at this point the company has shirked its corporation's obligation to the communities it serves? When companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter become so powerful, and people rely on them so much they no longer are private companies, they become lifelines to society, much like our health care. They no longer operate in the best interest of the people, but are driven by greed. Now, you may say everyone lies, so it's okay for Facebook to allow lies in political advertisements. First, obviously, Facebook has the right to not print lies when it comes to the First Amendment. Secondly, there is a large difference between people lying to each other and print media publishing lies. For more on this, see my podcast entitled To Lie or Not to Lie? That is the question, and I'll put that link in the description. So, how are we protected against people like Mark Zuckerberg who have decided that lies are acceptable value when we have taught our children not to lie? This is the role of government regulation. The government cannot hide behind the First Amendment and take money to support their political campaigns while supporting companies like Facebook and Twitter blatantly publishing political lies. The main media must print a retraction if they are caught publishing outright lies. Facebook condones publishing outright lies, knowing people today rely on Facebook for their news. It is time to reel in the social media giants. Allowing lies in any medium, either print, television, media, podcast, or social media of any kind, is not acceptable. If these media cannot adhere to the rules, then they must be regulated. If their power becomes too great, they must be controlled. It is the duty of the government to keep us safe. It is their job description as defined in the Constitution. This is What the Flip, and I'm your host, Vic Vogel. You have the power through the medium of Facebook and Twitter to make your voice heard. Speak out. Let's see if Facebook censors your speech. You can like my Facebook page, What the Flip, and follow me And stay tuned for more broadcasts of this podcast, What the Flip. Until then, have a great day.